Hello everyone, Zion over here from Nintendo Life. Now, I've been playing a lot of the Pokémon TCG Pocket mobile app on my phone, and while it's usually something I look forward to, it also causes me to get quite sad when I lose a match or when I don't pull something good for days on end. And you know what doesn't really have that problem and also doesn't ask you for money? Is the original Game Boy Color Pokémon trading card game. It goes back to the basics of the first few sets of the original Pokémon game. It rewards you with booster packs after every battle. It's a great way to learn how to play the game, and it's available with your Nintendo Switch Online subscription. So I thought, why not dig up our original review of the Pokémon trading card game for Game Boy Color and share it all with you here. Now, this review was originally written by Connor McMahon for NintendoLife.com, but was reworked into this video by me. It's almost surreal nowadays to think that there was ever a time where portable gaming didn't have Pokémon. When Red and Blue first hit Western shores in 1998, those 151 legends would bring with them a wave of merchandise, cementing the series in history as the cultural epidemic it really was. Airplanes, cars, buildings were all infected by the Pokevirus, but none were quite so potent as the powerhouse that was the Pokémon trading card game. Wizards of the Coast first brought them to the US in 1999, and the rest is school playground history. Can a Game Boy Color title truly recreate the ferocious rivalry and friendship-destroying power these physical cards held? Hudson Soft was tasked with adapting the tabletop card game for Game Boy, bringing things right back to their roots with another RPG-style Pokémon adventure. For all intents and purposes, the main experience appears very similar to Red and Blue, as you take on the role of a budding champion who collects badges to challenge the final Elite Four, but exploration is stripped down to a bare minimum. There are no towns or routes to travel along, no Pokémon centers or item shops. You move straight from club to club, which is this game's version of gyms, collecting medals with no messing around in between. The whole appeal here is the card game itself, battling other collectors and earning booster packs to assemble the ultimate deck. It may seem limited by comparison, but it's an extremely competent adaptation that couldn't possibly feel any more streamlined and approachable. Chances are that back then, some avid collectors weren't quite sure exactly how to play, and remained perfectly content to just throw cards at each other, create their own rules, and hoard the holographics like they were sacred relics. And that's even more true today. But thankfully, the game provides an excellent tutorial that explains how everything works, even suggesting a few basic tactics once you're up and running. And while the rules have changed a little over the years, the core gameplay in this Game Boy version of the game remains relatively the same. You'll start by selecting one of 3 different decks, each representing either Squirtle, Charmander, or Bulbasaur, which consist of 60 different cards in total. As you progress, you can modify this deck and can even create your own deck of 60 cards entirely from scratch, with the ability to save them for use anytime. Much like the main series, Pokémon come with their own list of elemental strategies and weaknesses, and can even evolve if you draw the required card. Every time you remove an opposing monster from play, you earn a prize card, and the goal is to claim each of them, usually either 4 or 6, before your opponent to win the game. Additionally, trainer cards act as items, allowing you to heal your team or search your deck for specific cards, while energy cards are placed on your Pokémon to allow for more powerful attacks. Grass Pokémon need grass energy, for example, and HP blasting attacks like Solar Beam require as many as 4. So it always pays to make sure you're playing an energy card every turn that you can. Like many other tabletop games, it's extremely easy to learn, but can take much longer to fully master. You're given every opportunity to improve, however, as there's absolutely no consequence for losing. You'll quickly amass a large enough selection of cards that entire strategies can be changed on the fly. Unfortunately, this leads to what is perhaps the game's biggest misstep. Predictably, each of the 8 club leaders base their decks around a certain element, wearing their weaknesses on their sleeves. This is also the case in the main series, of course, but here it's a lot easier to exploit. Taking on a water-loving opponent with a deck filled to the brim with electric Pokémon feels more like bullying than a tense challenge. And since you don't need to catch and train Pokémon at all, it's easier than ever. If you get lucky with a few booster packs, you could be opposing Squirtle with a Zapdos right from the beginning. There's no incentive to build up a constant team of Pokémon, so players can build custom decks just to win against specific rivals. This is an unavoidable limitation of facing predictable AI opponents, of course, and some could rightfully argue that it merely rewards those who are fully aware of their deck, constantly customizing to meet the task at hand. Lacking the option to play online, however, this exploit only shortens an already brief experience. That's not to say the game isn't fun, because it absolutely is. The real-life cards are recreated in-game with some nice, clear visuals, and battles are made more lively by fun attack animations. Characters are surprisingly memorable, with cameos from Pokémon Company CEO Tsunekazu Ishihara and the zany musician Tomoaki Imakuni. The lack of outdoor environments and the uninspired club designs are admittedly a disappointment, but if you've come for the gameplay, and you absolutely should, then there's no shortage of duel opportunities here. You can challenge the same people multiple times, and a special area named Challenge Hall provides a nice mix of much more unpredictable opponents. There are over 220 cards available in total, and though your enjoyment does depend somewhat on your investment in the Pokemon series as a whole, fans of the card game genre will find an enjoyable diversion here. The Game Boy Color version of the Pokemon trading card game successfully shows newcomers the ropes while providing the initiated with a slick, faithful edition of the tabletop experience. It's all the fun with none of the clutter, and the ability to save multiple decks allows for both experimentation and control over your playstyle. The main story would benefit from having some more unpredictable AI opponents, but overall, we're definitely ready for a new sequel on Switch. We here at Nintendo Life give the Pokemon trading card game on Game Boy Color an 8 out of 10. Now sure, the graphics here on the Game Boy Color version of the Pokemon trading card game might not be as flashy as the latest version found on mobile, but I would almost argue that this version of the game is more satisfying, and I think I genuinely have more fun with it. Here you have a little character that can run around on screen, and you've got a small storyline to follow. You actually get way more cards in every pack that you open. Sure, now the attacks and abilities are scaled back heavily. You're going to be doing 10, 20, 30 damage a turn often, unless if you manage to evolve up to something like Charizard or Venusaur. Everything is genuinely just quite a bit simpler. And here you can build and play with decks like Rain Dance and Haymaker. It's all the good and all the bad of the original Pokemon trading card game. You don't have Sabrina or Pokemon Catcher, you just have Gust of Wind. Sure, it's broken, but it's beautiful. And since the game can't be played online, you don't have opponents conceding to you either. If you're doing good in a match and the AI opponent knows it, it's just gonna sit there and take it. It's awesome. Let us know in the comments down below if you've played through the original Pokemon trading card game back in the day, or if you've played it now, or if you're diving back into Pokemon TCG Pocket, or maybe any of the other bajillion Pokemon games that are out there. Let us know the temperature of your Pokemon fever. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, then why don't you draw that subscribe button like it's a prize card, and then ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we put up new videos like this. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to Connor for spending all that time with Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy Color and writing this review for us. I'm Zian from Nintendo Life. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.